Welcome to another edition of the USF Football Radio Show, along with Joey Johnston and, of course, head coach Jeff Scott. I'm Jim Louk. We're looking forward to a trip to Louisville this week as the Bulls try to build on some of the momentum they put together in Gainesville. Coach, we'll spend most of the show looking forward to Louisville, but we do want to drop back a few days to Gainesville and talk a little bit about that one because a lot of things happened and certainly a lot of positives. Difficult ending when the Bulls almost got the miracle kick to tie it. You had a few days to process the whole evening there, so tell us your thoughts as you look back on that game.
Yeah, I think ultimately you start with, you play to win the game, right? And our goal was to go 1-0 last week, and we didn't do that. So you don't want to, overlook that. I mean, at the end of the day, we were playing to win. That's really the negative part is we weren't able to finish it. But a lot of positives. I mean, going back and watching the tape looked exactly like what I thought I was going to see and what I saw on the field. I mean, our guys played extremely hard for 4 quarters. I just felt like, our guys were playing confident. They had belief from the very beginning of the game all the way through. I was really proud of how the guys handled that environment. I mean, it was the very loud and great game day environment there. And then also, I was proud of how our guys handled the adversity. I think there about 3 minutes to go in the second quarter, we found ourselves down 2 touchdowns, 24-10, and nobody panicked. And we went on an 18-0 run and took the lead. And so a lot of positives in that. But obviously, a few of the miscues that really cost us from a special victory, is the disappointing piece of it. And so we kind of used Sunday to come in and look at the good and the bad and be able to learn from it. And then, came back over here with the players on Tuesday, and it's time to turn the page towards Louisville.
Coach, the way you played offensively, it was daring, it was attacking, it was imaginative. And I know circumstances dictate that. Maybe in the previous 2 games you couldn't do some of the things you want to do. But the way you put together an offense, is that what you imagine the offense to look like? Yeah,
I think we were able to start seeing some of our identity offensively. I think, anytime the new season, you got a lot of new players, a new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, working with a staff for the first time. You're trying to kind of figure out who you are, right? And how you're going to operate and what you're going to do. And I think for us, after 2 games, we didn't quite have the execution that we wanted. And, there were some things looking at the video, getting ready for Florida that, we were able to felt like we could exploit. And then the guys went out there and really executed. They executed the plays very well. And obviously the strength of the day was how we ran the ball. And, that was a big point of emphasis going into the game because we knew that it was a very talented front 7 there at Florida. And, you got to give Coach Trickett and Coach Moe and the offensive staff a lot of credit for the game plan that we had. And you got to give our players a lot of credit for going out and executing. And I think that's ultimately what allowed us to kind of shorten the game and, really did a lot of things to put ourselves in a position to be able to find the victory.
Joey talked about the inventive calls on offense, the ones that I'll remember for a long time. Certainly the Petit run on 4th and 1 when you sent the entire roster one way and then he went the other way and there was nobody there. But also the 2-point conversion. Took 2 tries to get Sean Atkins to throw the ball in this game, but it worked out the second time.
Yeah, those are 2 plays that we've been practicing for a while and kind of waiting for the right moment. Florida had shown to be super aggressive in kind of those 4th and inches situations, and we knew in order to be able to move the ball against them, we were going to have some creative plays in there, and the guys were able to go out and execute. It's pretty impressive that their number 2 on their side was able to run Petit down there with the angle because as soon as he got it, I thought it was a touchdown. But yeah, that was definitely good to see. And I think, some things that we did in that game, I think will cause some of the defenses that we play here over the next couple of weeks to have to maybe, be a little bit more vanilla in some of their looks and not, overcommit to certain things because of the counters that we showed in that game.
So Brian Battie, I know you have a crowded running back room, and Jaron Mangum was limited, and Kelly Joyner's out, but he certainly made a name for himself in Gainesville, and I know he had a great kickoff return season, All-American, but looks like he's coming into his own as running back.
Yeah, really happy for Bat, and he's a guy. He just worked extremely hard, and I know last year he made some wow plays there on kickoff return, and I think he'll continue to do that this year. But really, Coach Aiken and myself and Coach Trickett really kind of challenged him to take that next step as a running back and be able to do all the things that we need him to do offensively, and he's done that. He's had an excellent offseason, really studying the playbook and really becoming an every down back and what we're asking him to do. So that was great to see, and I think he's no question one of our top weapons on our offense and with our football team.
88,000 plus there. It's one of the top 5 crowds ever that the Bulls have played in front of, and none of your guys cared. They were really not bothered by it.
Yeah, that was great to see. It's one thing, again, we talk a lot about with our guys that, hey, our ability to execute and do what we need to do, in a game cannot be influenced by, where you play, how loud it is, what time you're playing, or who you're playing, right? It's all about how we do what we do. And so to be able to see our guys go out and for the majority of the game, execute probably better than we have in a long time since I've been here in that environment, I think is definitely something that we'll be able to lean on because, we're going into another loud environment this week on the road. I know Louisville will have a great crowd, and I've coached there many times through my time at Clemson, so I know exactly what type of environment we'll be going into, and I think our guys will be able to go into there with confidence coming off of last week.
Defensively, it looked like Coach Shoup's unit took the next step, certainly created some turnovers and kept Anthony Richardson in check. What's your overall read on the defense?
Yeah, a couple of things that I was proud of defensively was our third down. I felt like we did. I think we were maybe 8 of 15 on third down and did a much better job there. And then also the 2 interceptions. I mean, those were 2 big plays in the game. The one that Dwayne Boyles had led to a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, right? So 8 points. And then the one that AB had there in the end zone kept them from getting any points. So, those were 2 very important, turnovers we were able to get. And I think that our defensive front was able to get some pressure on their quarterback. We knew that if he could sit back there and have time to kind of read, the entire field, that it was going to be a long day. But there was definitely some opportunities. We got some pressure on him, moved him out of the pocket, made him have to make some quick decisions. And, and outside of maybe 1 or 2 plays, obviously the long touchdown run was disappointing. But I think, we've proven, that especially in this game, that if we don't give up the big plays and we make them have to drive the length of the field, right, we're going to have a lot more success defensively. So definitely a lot of positives and things to build off of on that side.
After the game, you talked a little bit about the locker room, and you said, look, nobody in there's happy about keeping this thing close. Tell us a little bit about the team, how they reacted and what they were like. What was that locker room like after the game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody was hurt because they knew we had a real opportunity and we're not able to finish. So, it's one thing to maybe play in a game and the other side just makes a lot of mistakes and you just kind of luck into it. And this was not that kind of game. I mean, our guys really played extremely hard, and we were right there, but not able to finish it. So, it hurt, it stung, and it should. Anytime that you go out and play hard for 4 quarters and literally lay everything you have out there on that field, if you don't come away with the victory, you're upset. So the guys were disappointed, but also that they knew that that's part of the process. We talk about all the time, hey, you can't rush the process. You have to trust the process, right? And that really was the next step for us, being able to play well on that type of stage. And I told the guys right there in the locker room, how we respond from this game. Obviously, there's a difficult ending and all that, but we got to turn the page. We play a really good team the next week in Louisville, and how we're able to respond this week will say a lot about the success that we'll be able to have Saturday at Louisville.
So you had a 2nd and 6 at the Florida 19 in the final minute. It looked like you're going to be able to go in and win the game and not leave them any time on the clock. It was a great setup. Had a couple of physical mistakes happen in the last minute that didn't allow you to even put it into overtime. So how do you evaluate kind of the way you finished and how you correct that, where you move from here?
Yeah, it was disappointing because, we really kind of moving the ball down like our 2-minute drive. We do 2-minute drive every Wednesday, and I felt like we had done a good job moving it down, and I think on that 2nd and 6, we called an RPO. If they were going to be in a one high, we were going to throw a skinny slant over there to Weaver in the boundary. They were actually in a 2 high, so we were going to hand the ball off and run it, and then maybe get a chance on 3rd down to see if we had a chance to throw it in the end zone. But again, we talk about all the time. It's the little things, right? It's not anything big. It's the things like the snap and being able to get those things done the right way. And we really haven't had many of those. That's probably the most frustrating part. Is if I'd seen a lot of that in practice or something like that, then you'd say, okay, it kind of carried over. But really between Brad and Gary, they've done a good job with the snap. Really all night long, we've done a good job with the snap. And that was just kind of the absolute worst time to have that situation, and back it up, and then obviously on the field goal try, that group had really done a good job all off season, and even in our first 2.5 games, we'd hit a 49-yarder maybe a little bit earlier in the game, and so whenever we lined up, I fully believed that we were going to make the kick and go win the game in overtime. And then unfortunately, again, it comes down to just kind of some basics and fundamentals of the snap, the hold, and the kick, and you got to be able to operate those things. And so, hey, those are tough lessons to learn, but we're going to be back in that situation. We may be in that situation this Saturday, so you got to learn from that and be able to take it for what it is. I mean, you can win a game and still have a lot of things to correct, and when you win a game, you can't just feel like everything's great. You got to go back and look at the video, and then same thing, you may lose a game, and once the emotion of that part moves on, you got to be able to go evaluate the good and bad from that game and really just kind of tell the truth. And that's really what we did on Sunday with our guys, and I feel like they responded the right way.
Quite a night in Gainesville. Let's turn the page. We're going to Louisville for a Saturday noon game against the Cardinals. We'll talk about that when we continue on the USF Football Radio Show. Welcome back to the USF Football Radio Show. We have the start time for the next home game, October 1st, the conference opener, East Carolina, Raymond James Stadium. It'll be a 7 o'clock kickoff, so a great opportunity and some cool weather to come out and see the Bulls. Tickets 1-800-GO-BULLS. Bulls in East Carolina, Saturday, October 1st at 7 o'clock. Well, Coach, you are stuck on this show with 2 USF football historians here. Joey and I like all the dates and all the coincidences, and you're going to go up to Louisville, play the Cardinals on the 17th anniversary of the Bulls' first Big East victory, September 24th, 2005. Bottom line is that was against the Cardinals. There's a lot of history between these two teams. When we look at the Cardinals, it seems you just got to start with Malik Cunningham. I mean, he's the guy that they run everything through.
Absolutely. He's a great quarterback. Some people may just say he's a great athlete. He's definitely a great athlete, but he's also a great quarterback. I mean, he throws the ball extremely well. I mean, he's one of these dual threat guys that truly can do both, and that's a lot more difficult than sometimes you may play guys that maybe don't throw the ball well, but they run it, and you can commit more guys to the box and just stop the quarterback run. Or you play guys that maybe they throw it really well, but they're not a threat with their legs. But guys like Cunningham that can do both, that creates problems. And you can look at his numbers. I mean, he's getting ready to, this season probably pass Lamar Jackson, which is a very strong, player that obviously doing great things in the NFL. So, this young man's played and been a starter for multiple years. He understands their system very well. You can tell watching the video, he knows where to go with the ball. There's not a lot of indecision. And then he's surrounded with a great group of skill players. I mean, his wide receivers and running backs are all really fast, athletic guys. And, they know their system very well, and they do a great job of executing. So it'll be a huge test for our defense to really be able to defend all the things that they're going to throw at us.
Jeff, I know you were saying 3 games in, you guys are just trying to get your identity straight and where you're going. And Louisville, 3 games in, didn't have a lot of success against Syracuse, won a tight one at UCF. really close to beating Florida State and fell short at the end. What do you see for Louisville's identity, how they've eased into this season, and what kind of team you're going to be facing?
Yeah, well, you may look at their record and think one thing, and then you turn on the video and go, okay, this is a really good team. That's what my first comment would be. Defensively, they're number one in the ACC with sacks. They have 10 sacks in the first 3 games. Very disruptive, very aggressive with their front 7. They're going to bring a lot of pressure, and that's going to be important for us. We've only given up 1 sack in 3 games. Our offensive line and running backs and tight ends have done a good job in protection, so that's going to really be an important matchup, for us. But, I see, again, outside of maybe their first game playing up at Syracuse, they've played well the last 2 weeks, and, I think they've played, Florida State's having a great season, and, they were up against Florida State in the second half and had opportunities to finish that game, maybe similar to our week last week with Florida. So I know they're going to be hungry coming off of last week, and I think it's going to be a great game. And at the end of the day, kind of our same message that we had last week going in the Florida game, it's going to be about us and our execution, and we're going to have to play extremely well to be able to beat this group.
The running game obviously was spectacular last week. The passing game, maybe not quite as consistent. You've had some personnel issues there with injuries. What's missing from the passing game right now? What's got to happen to have that part of the game get up to the next level?
Yeah, I think really just consistency. You got to be able to make the layups, right? And some of the ones that we've been missing, whether it be a wide receiver, a tight end, running back, or the quarterback, it's really some of the layups that you've got to be able to make that continue to keep drives going. And so that's something that we've been working extremely hard on in practice. And I have no doubt that our guys will be able to get that corrected. And, what I told our guys is, hey, look what we've been able to do offensively, especially in this last game, running the ball. And we're nowhere close to, executing in the passing game like we're capable of. And so as soon as we can get that up to the next level, then I think that we're really going to be able to see, what this offense can look like this season.
Jeff, your first 3 games have been at night. BYU was 4:30, but it turned into a night game. So here you have a noon game, which is a little different on different schedule. But what do you think the dynamics are there of not only preparing for it, but making sure that your guys are ready to go at noon?
I love on the road playing at noon. I love at home playing at night, So, and again, we, different teams practice at different times. We're a morning practice team. So, our team meetings every morning are at 7 a.m. And our team meeting Saturday morning, getting ready for a noon kickoff, will be at 7:30. And so, and we get up and have meetings and practice every morning. And so I feel like for us, it's a little bit more natural. It's part of our routine. It's probably a little different for us because we practice every morning and then go play a night game. That's a little bit different. But, I think for us, when you go on the road, you're ready to wake up and you're ready to go play. And so, again, what we talk about at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter what time we play or who we play or where we play. Like, we've got to take those external factors out and really just kind of focus in on doing our job. Whether we play at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m., at the end of the day, it's going to be about the team that goes out and executes. But obviously, our schedule does change a little bit different in the morning. We'll have a few more meetings in the later evening after dinner to make up for the meetings that we will not be able to have that morning. And then, I think the players would tell you too, they're ready to wake up, go to pregame meal, get on the bus, and go kick this thing off. So I'm excited about the noon game and looking forward to getting out there to play.
We will have Allen Mogridge and Demontrey Jacobs on the show later on in this hour. You may never have an offensive line as experienced as the one you have right now. How much of a luxury is that? Yeah,
that's great. I mean, this group, again, 4 of the 5 guys are seniors that all could have left. And they had opportunities to leave, whether they wanted to go try it at the next level or go to another school. And that whole group decided, hey, we want to come back and we want to finish this thing the right way. And, they've really been the leaders of our team, the leaders of our offense. And, again, to be able to go against the front there at BYU and go against the front that we had against Florida and have 1 sack in 3 games, I think that says a lot. And then, again, to be able to go on the road against that front last week and run the ball the way we did. I know Batee and Dukes and Mangum would tell you, those holes don't open up without that group up there. So not only is it a talented group, but they work very well together. They communicate very well. Coach Mogridge does an incredible job with his room and just his teaching and corrections and all those things. And it's a very close-knit group, a very talented group, and we're definitely excited to have them here for the rest of the season.
So the object is to win the game, as you said, and I know that's every week. But you did go up to Florida to play well. They certainly were aware of it. Louisville is aware of it. The people that follow the SEC are aware of it. Do you think in some way this helps stamp what you're trying to build here? Even though you didn't win the game, you did play well in a tough environment.
Well, I would say that for our own players, sometimes you have to see it, right? And I've talked about it, and I've told them, what we're going to do and kind of how we're progressing. But at some point, you got to go out there and do it. And then once you do it, and you look around and you go, okay, we can do this. All right, this is what it really looks like. And so I think from that perspective, I think we've kind of broken through there. But the other side is, just because maybe you played well against a good team last week doesn't mean you're automatically going to go out and play well the next week, right? The same team that played Saturday against Florida was the same group that played 2 weeks earlier very poorly against BYU, right? So I think the goal is, hey, now that should be the standard. We got to correct some of the mistakes that we made in those games, or you still could play well and not win, right? But as far overall, the effort and the execution, the belief, the confidence, handling adversity, like that should now be the standard. We've seen what it looks like. So anything less than that, is not the standard. And so I think from that standpoint, I think there's definitely some positives and confidence that our guys will be able to go in. But, I'm hoping that, that bad taste they have in their mouth, that we all have in our mouth from not finishing it, I hope that really kind of carries over into this game Saturday. And if we get in that same situation, we need to learn from those miscues last week and be able to finish.
Coach, thanks. We'll see you in Louisville.
Great. Thank you.
Bulls and Cardinals, 12 noon kickoff Saturday, and then back home against East Carolina on October 1st. Stay with us. Offensive line coach Allen Mogridge coming up, Demontrey Jacobs as well, as we continue on the USF Football Radio Network. Welcome back to the USF Football Radio Show. We have a trip to Louisville coming up, 12 noon game at the Cardinals, and then home October 1st. Conference play against East Carolina. That is a 7 o'clock kick at Raymond James Stadium. Allen Mogridge is the assistant head coach. He specializes in the offensive line, so his group has got it going, especially after that great running game at Florida last Saturday night. Coach, we talked with Coach Scott a little bit about the experience of this offensive line. It's kind of unique how many games these guys have behind them. Does that change your coaching style at all when you work with a guy that, a bunch of guys that have been here for so long, or are you who you are?
I'm pretty much me every day of the week. I'm pretty much in their face and stirring their grits pretty good, just making sure that we can do the things we need to do on a daily basis. The thing about offensive line play is if you ain't living right off the field, you ain't going to do what you need to do on the field. So the reality of it is they're awesome. They're great kids. I love being around them. They attack their work the way it needs to be done. And that's the most awesome part. And one of the cool things is they are a veteran group. So a lot of times when you're working with that second group, it's the first time they felt a certain thing I'm talking about. Hey, when the nose takes the trip, get your eyes back for the wheel so you can see that wheel backer rolling in. A guy like Meach and Brad, they've done that. That's happened to them so many times. Brad stops, brings it back, Meach goes faster, bam, now we get it covered, and there's the seam. Whereas like with a Cole Best, it's the first time he's ever felt it, and that's one of the cool things. So I don't know that I change my style. I think if you ask them if I'm different, I don't think they would say that. It's an absolute blessing to get to be with them, as much as because this is some continuity, and those guys, I'm very grateful and very humble because they come to work, and the reality of it is we need to finish. Quite frankly, like I'm fired up for it. We need to finish. We need to keep our heads down, our hands dirty, and we need to just keep working. And we'll look up when the dust settles. and then we'll be where we want to be at the end of the day. But yeah, it is unique that you've got guys that have played so much football together, and and even Dustin Hall in there, he's played a whole lot. And if you look at our line, Mike Lofton is him and Dustin are kind of playing that right guard spot right now, and we're trying to bring some other guys along as we go, just let them grow. It just takes time, man. I wish you could sprinkle pixie dust on people and make them ready to go. But the reality of this position is you gotta work at it, and sometimes you need to get punched in the face so you can understand what it is you gotta get done. And that's a good group of kids, man. I enjoy them. I enjoy working with them. I enjoy seeing them. I enjoy watching them because it's time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's time. Like it's time, dude. Okay? Get your hand down, run off the rock, and let's go. It's time. Right now is the time. Don't look up. Don't look around. Right now, go. And the reality of it is that if we can just stay process-driven and stay in the moment, and whatever that moment is, each and every one of these moments that we're blessed to get, like I said, we need to finish. We need to finish. Everybody in our room understands we need to finish. And the reality of it is, I say it to them all the time, hey, the man upstairs puts you in opportunities, and he puts you in places, and he gives you a test. Did you pass the test or not? The test is going to show back up till you pass it. Then you're going to get a new test. So the reality of it is I'm very excited. Hey man, you got to play with your knees bent and your eyes up. That's how you got to live your life. You know what I mean? There's a lesson to be learned in every single thing we do. And so I enjoy playing with those guys that are older.
Have you always been this intense? If we went back 20 years and did this interview, maybe when you were an arena football player, are you going to give us the same interview? Is this kind of how you've always been?
I take a lot of pride in everything I do, and I do. I'm blessed. I've never worked a day in my life. I've never worked a day in my life. When it comes to coaching football and being with young people, and so there is an energy and there's a passion about it, and I think that you're built for it, and and we all get told we can't play ball anymore before we want to hear it. I was putting some shorts on in the locker room at the Carolina Panthers, and some guy I'd never met was like, "Hey, bro, you got to go see the hootie hoo. You got to go upstairs. You got to take your playbook too." So the reality is at that point, that's when I got told, "Hey, you know what? You're not going to be able to play anymore for whatever reason." And you got guys that have to deal with injury and this, that, and the other. But if you love this game, and this game has been an unbelievable doorway for me. It's been an unbelievable opportunity. So, the reality of it is the game of football's presented all these different opportunities. Who am I not to take them? And if you're going to do anything, you better have your whole self in it, right? I mean, you better have your whole self in it. And it's like I talk about, so 20 years ago, oh gosh, what was I even doing 20 years ago? But when I played arena ball, I had a blast, man, because you play both sides. I was that backer.
That league seems
it was
like
a great time, man. It was so much fun. I had a mullet, and it was just like we were rolling, man. And so I had a blast. And that was kind of playing arena ball when I got cut by the Panthers. When I was cut, and they said you couldn't play anymore. You're done. We had Info Europe then. They were trying to send me to Europe, and I was a country boy from East Tennessee, and I'm like, I don't need any of that. So I decided that, I know I'm going to coach. And there was this girl who I'm married to now that I'd been dating, and it's kind of like life was starting to show up a little bit. So the reality of it is that, hey, let me tell you a story about a girl. And the reality of it is I played arena ball to get the kind of the game out of my system, this part of it, and I knew I was going to go coach. So the reality is I played arena ball. I was able to buy an engagement ring and do some things like that with Jenny, for us, for our future, and then get into coaching. So I kind of, kind of got that dog out of me, the play out of me, and then went straight to Buffalo and GH. So, but yeah, I think you'd get the same interview from that guy. Then I was a center. I was playing center in that league, and the linebacker that blitzed, and it was a challenge because you always had a zero nose. You always had a guy on you, so you had to be ready to go. Fred McNair was our quarterback.
Yeah.
The original Air McNair.
Yep.
At Alcorn State now. Yeah. Good dude.
Let me intersperse just back to the mundane.
Okay.
Your unit had a great performance against the Florida Gators, a pretty good defensive front. What's your evaluation of what you saw in Gainesville?
Our unit needs to finish. Our unit needs to finish, and our unit will finish. And I'm very happy that for the first time, our unit was 10 toes down on the moment, right? They were 10 toes down on the moment. They had 10 toes in the ground at the point they needed to be in the point. It's all about the do. It's not about the talk. You know what I'm saying? And the reality of it is like I say it to these guys all the time. Like, you got to see yourself as I see you. You got to see yourself the way I see you. And if we'll stay in the process and we'll keep our heads down and we'll keep our hands dirty, right? The low man in the foxhole ain't the one that gets shot, right? And look, this isn't warfare, but I'm a history guy. You know what I mean? And the reality of it is if you can just be 10 toes down and master your moment, be like, dude, it's a 7-second play. You got to be your absolute best for 7-8 seconds. And then you know what? Then you got to reset and you got to come back and we're going to give you another play to go do. You know what I mean? So what I'm very happy is they understand they're becoming process driven, and they were blocking out kind of the noise and those kind of things, if that makes sense. And listen, they did what I know they can do. I mean, I don't feel like I'm being arrogant when I say that. I felt like we trained for this. Like, if you come out to our individual periods every day, that's not a walk in the park now. Like, what we do every day, our process to get where we want to get, ain't like we're not making s'mores and passing out lollipops out there. We're not. I mean, we're on the Crowther sled. We're activating our hips. We're doing the things that linemen have to do to be successful linemen. And they've got to make decisions on whether they want to do that every day at the level it needs to be done. And my job's not to hand out lollipops and say, hey, man, my job's to say, facts of the matter is you do these things, you're going to have success. And that's what we all have to decide to do, whether we're delivering the mail, whether we're blocking a 3 technique, whatever it is in life that we're tasked to do. Like, the reality of it is, man, is that, like, that's your job, right? That's what, in that moment, and all of us chose to do this. They chose to do it, but the reality of it is I love those kids. I love those kids every day of the week. I love them hard, and I push them to be when we sit down and talk as a group and as individuals, like, we talk about the things we think we can be and the things we want to be. And my job in that is bro, when you say it, when it comes into the air and you've put it out there, my job's to hold you accountable to it, right? Whether you rush the ball the way you wanted to, you're capable of doing that every day. Why'd you let the clutter in that didn't let you do it before? You know what I'm saying?
So you want to take what you saw in Gainesville, keep building on it, and keep moving forward.
We're going to keep stacking days. You know what I mean? We're going to keep stacking moments. That was a moment. That was great. That's now here. But we can't just throw it there. We got to take some things from that moment, and now we can stack. Like, I want the moment from Gainesville to turn into a better Tuesday practice. Like, a real talk. Like, Tuesday practice should look different. Like, look what you just did. Wednesday practice should look different.
Yeah, so no resting on any laurels. You're moving forward.
Well, that's the only way you're going to get where you want to get. I mean, the reality of it is it's funny how when I just, whatever I'm asked to do within my role, I'm talking about me personally. It's funny how when I don't have time to wonder what anybody else is doing with their role, how good I do my role. Does that make sense?
Makes complete sense.
It's amazing to me how if I just keep my head down and I just work and I try to work as hard as I can at the task that I know I've got to get done, and I don't kind of look up and wonder what now I may not be the most social media guy. I don't know about that, but I know this. I'm going to watch a lot of tape, and I'm going I'm going to have, my job, my role is to prepare my men, right? Is to prepare my men and have them ready to go, ready to swing first, swing second, swing third, right? And understand this, life is a punch in the face sometimes, bro. If you're going to box, and nobody boxes anymore, man. It's all UFC. It's that thing.
Same
man.
thing, though. Get hit in the face there, too.
Well, they do get hit in the face, but they can kick them and stuff. But like the old school, like 10 rounds, there's something to be said, man. Like, here's your plan, and all of a sudden you get punched square in the nose. Well, what's your plan now? And that's where this group, having played a lot of football, tying it back to there, that's where they're final, like us as a group. I'm like, hey, dude, if you watch a heavyweight fight, man, these dudes are real guys. Like, they're going to punch you. You're going to get punched. And then can you recognize that's the best shot they got to give? There was their best shot. There it was. Now how do you get back in process, right? Or maybe you felt like that was your best shot. Well, hey, bro, you got more in the tank. So playing that game and getting ready to go. But, this is a building process. Yes, yes, I love them. Like, that's what you got to understand. I love them. And I love them to a point that I'm not going to lie to them. When it looks right, it looks right. When it doesn't look right, it doesn't look right. Right? And that's the same way I raise my kids. And that's the same way that my wife holds me accountable in my house. Right? Like, this isn't like a sometimes thing. And that's where I'm very happy with these guys, because they understand. Like, this isn't like, oh man, it's the Gators, let's go play. Like, bro, it's got to be a process. And when you look at it, like, the challenge is, okay, week 1, did you get better from week 1, week 2? Okay, did you get better from week 2 to week 3? Now it's going to be, did you get better from week 3 to week 4? From week 4 to week 5. If we walked in here and if someone said to me, hey Mo, do you want to go be the coach do you want to go coach the O-line at South Florida? Here's your group. They're as good as they're going to be. I wouldn't have signed up for that. I really wouldn't have. Like, that's not it. But I love the kids. They work their butts off. They give me everything they have. And I try to do the same for them. And, they're a good group of kids.
Well, Coach, we love the passion. We love the energy. Thanks for being with us today.
Yes, sir.
Offensive line coach Allen Mogridge, you need your own show.
I want to do it if he gets it. I want to do it.
We will continue with one of Coach's top offensive linemen, Damontre Jacobs, next on the USF Football Radio Network. Welcome back. Bulls in Louisville. 12 noon starts Saturday. Second straight road game for USF. That offensive line had quite a night last Saturday in Gainesville as the Bulls ran the ball effectively all night long. Big part of that, Demontrey Jacobs. Thanks for taking time for us. You came here from Grambling, and you played a lot there. I mean, you were 2 full years of playing there. You come to USF. What led to the transfer and heading to Tampa?
It was really just a lot of uncertainty during the pandemic. We didn't know if we were going to be playing in that fall season. So my best bet for my personal career, just hitting the portal, trying to look for a new opportunity to play somewhere and possibly play at a higher level. So that was the biggest thing in my whole transition from Grambling to Tampa. So
Demontre, what is the connection with Kentrell Gransberry? I know he was a guy that you were aware of that helped make you aware of USF. Kentrell was a great USF basketball player, a double-double machine in his day. So what's your connection to Kentrell?
Oh, that's like, he almost like family. So that's my uncle's teammate from high school. And I used to work out with him, actually, back when he was playing overseas and getting ready to try out for the NFL for tight end. We used to work out together when I was about 10, 11 years old. So that's where a lot of that hard work started from, early age, just guys like him. So, we go way back.
We love talking Actually, we love listening to Coach Mogridge. We don't get to talk very much when we're with him. But he's quite a guy, and we always learn from him when we listen to him.
He's a real guy.
Tell us a little bit about him. What's he like? How has he affected you as both a football player and a person?
The biggest thing, he cares. He cares enough to be honest with you and tell you the truth about something that he sees not going right, or you possibly might not be trending the right way. He pull you to the side like, hey, what's going on? Like, he's going to check up on you. He's real passionate in what he does. So when he's coaching us, he coaches with a passion. So like, he sweats out there just as much as we do, because he's just so hands-on. And that, I believe that helped me throughout my time here as well. Just that hands-on teaching, just attention to details, just helping me become a better player day by day. Just putting in the work, and that's goes with everybody. That I feel like he's affected everybody in that room.
So Demontre, you come in here, you've got an NFL body, you've got all the physical tools in the world, and we see that every weekend. But as you mentioned, Coach Mo likes to dig into the details. So what does he take with the physical skills that you have with what he knows? What's he taught you? What details are going to ring in your head forever that Coach Mo says that you apply to the way you play?
Really just staying square and using my length in my pass set, just getting to the spot and starting the fight right there. Just make sure I'm using independent hands because I'm longer than most. So it was really just those little things helping me clean up my game just that much. And I feel like it made a big difference so far.
There's a few guys on this team who are at the graduate level, and because of the COVID year had options of whether to come back or not come back. And Coach Scott talks a lot about how proud he was when virtually everybody that had the option to come back came back. What was your thought process like when you looked at signing on for another year or going on to do something different?
It was really, I didn't feel like we left it off on the right foot, and knowing that I had another year for an opportunity to come back and try to change things before my time is completely done in college, I just kind of wanted to make it my mission to make sure I came back and left it in better hands before I left. And I feel like that's how most of us felt across those 12 super seniors. So, because I had the opportunity to talk to Brad, Meach, Dono, like what were they thinking, and we were all on the same page. We just wanted to come back and try to do something different.
Demontre, last week, Coach Scott, made it clear it's going to be a tough test going up to Gainesville, tough defense, great environment. We all knew that. You guys went in and played very well, handled it very well. Most of the game dictated to that defense. What was the key to your offensive line playing as well as it did and having this become success to set the pace for your offense?
Really just to trust our training. We just had to trust our training, trust what we see. We're in the film room every so often, so whenever we're in there, we got to make sure we're paying attention to the details. Just make sure we're seeing the pictures whenever they rotate, whenever they move. Just watching the tendencies of certain people, seeing who's dropping, who's coming, just being able to identify those blitzes and pick them up as soon as we can, try to protect Gary, and just feel like we trusted our training throughout the night and just played as one.
Now you have another tough challenge in Louisville. What has the tape shown you on them? What are you expecting this Saturday?
I feel like it's gonna be a gritty one. I feel like it's gonna be a gritty one. They play hard. They pursue the ball, and they fly around. And that's one thing I observed about them. They really just play through the whistle, and I'm anticipating it. I'm excited for the opportunity, and we're just gonna go out there and trust our training.
Demontre, can you give us a little flavor for your background? I know you're from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I have a feeling there's some food involved maybe along the line with your family, and Your mother's the volleyball coach at Southern University. Just what kind of life did you have in Baton Rouge with your family, and how you were raised, how you came up over there?
Really, so I lived in Baton Rouge up until I was 10, and then I moved to Gonzales, Louisiana, throughout middle school, high school, and it was fun. It was fun just because Gonzales and Baton Rouge are like different, because Gonzales is more of a smaller town, so we used to go outside and play, like just running around. There wasn't really too much havoc going on. You could just be kids, and I feel like that's where most of my childhood came from, just being able to go outside and just play. Because I know, like, a lot of times nowadays, kids are inside on the game, on the phone and stuff like that. It wasn't like that back then, so we used to go outside, run around, play basketball. I had a basketball goal at our house, and we used to play from like 10 in the morning till the street lights came on, and it would be just the whole day we outside. Yeah. That was just the biggest thing, just being outside.
And how driven are you to continue in this game, play in the NFL, and what is USF doing to kind of set you up for a future in football?
I'm sorry, repeat that one more time.
How driven are you to play one day in the NFL, and what is your experience here with USF and Coach Miller? What's that doing to set you up?
Oh, I've been driven since a child. Honestly, I've been anticipating this moment for a long time, and hopefully I get that opportunity that I've been working for. And just being here, these guys push me to my limit, and I don't even know what that is yet, because it keeps going, and we just keep on trying to stack days, and just try not to look too far ahead, just being one day at a time, putting the work in, stacking days on top of days. It's a process, and you just got to trust the process. Can't rush it. So it's just been my biggest thing, trying to stay patient throughout this whole year and not get complacent with who I think I am, and just keep striving to be someone better.
Damontre Jacobs, thanks for taking time for us today. Have a great weekend in Louisville.
Thank you.
From the offensive line, Demontrey Jacobs. Stay with us. Back to wrap up this week's show after this on the USF Football Radio Network. All right, welcome back. We're heading to Louisville. Bulls and Cardinals in a 12 noon game on Saturday. Joey, this is game number 12 of this rivalry, and I call it a rivalry because there were some great games, mostly in the Big East. One year they were together in the American. Louisville spent 1 year in this league before moving on to the ACC. A lot of good memories, and what amounts to a really intriguing matchup this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll never forget 2005, the number 9 Cardinals coming into Tampa. Sports Illustrated was here to write a story on Louisville and its chances to win a national championship. USF won the game 45-14. The story never got written in Sports Illustrated. So that was a huge moment in the history of this program. Louisville has been a great opponent, and it's wonderful to play them again. Going up to Louisville, a lot of great memories, but as you mentioned, a really, really fine team they have, and it will be a heck of a road win if the Bulls can get it.
You've seen Malik Cunningham. You've seen Anthony Richardson. Is it oversimplifying to say they're kind of the same problem to deal with? Are they different, or are they similar?
I think the same sort of problem. They're a little bit different stylistically. I think Malik Cunningham in some ways is a little bit of a different athlete. Not that Richardson's not a great athlete, but they're both problems in their own right. But Malik Cunningham will certainly be one of the best players the Bulls will face all year, and if they can hold him in check, that will be a great, great accomplishment.
Going to be a lot of fun in Louisville. Our radio airtime is 10 a.m. Kickoff is at 12 noon for the Bulls and Cardinals. And don't forget, get your tickets for the conference opener at home Saturday, October 1st, 7 p.m. against East Carolina. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week on the USF Football Radio Network.